What's up, everybody? Welcome to Underground Crypto Deep Dive Research Show. Where are all my people at? I know there was a few key people that let me know they weren't going to be able to be at tonight's stream, but I'm still excited. I'm still here. I'm still ready to raise my crypto IQ. Sometimes when the markets are bad, it's the best time to find opportunities and learn new things. And I'm going to keep rolling with that and raising my own crypto IQ. And I'll see everybody in just a second. Let's go. Welcome to the channel. All right, I am on screen and in frame. Let's start with the crypto bubbles like we always do. Of course, it seems like they are shaking the heck out of the confidence in the crypto market, but it's a world game going on right now. There's a lot of things going on in the world that is much bigger than crypto. Crypto's just a newer market, guys, so it's going to take a bit of a beatdown when these things happen. We've seen silver drop huge. I'm not as big on stocks, honestly, but I know that it's had some drawdown as well. So over on the crypto bubbles is a great product, if you will, for data to be put into a visual representation, and I think that it's very helpful. So this is where we always start. MYX, which is a decentralized exchange, one of the ones that kind of led the craze 6 months ago, 5 months ago, whatever it was. It's down 46.3% today, and Pippin's up 31.6%. Aster, which was also in that vein, came after MYX. 8.8% to the upside, 8.7. It just updated. Caspa with a little 3.6. What is Caspa at nowadays? Like 3 cents. Nice. Hyperliquid, 3.5%. So nothing amazing, nothing really to write home about unless you had a very, high leverage long and you got in at the right time for Pippin. Other than that, there's not a whole lot to report here. What's up, Campsta? Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here as always. Maybe you could let Bankroll know and other people. I haven't seen Bankroll on the stream in a few days. I'm going to have to reach out to him, make sure he's all right. So 5.6% in meme core. Hey, Campsta, can you tell me, has Bankroll been very active in his tab the last couple of days? Do you know what's going on? I'm just curious. Obviously, he doesn't owe me anything. I appreciate him being a part of the group. So Barra's up 77.3%. That's nice. Seems like very select coins getting a little bit of a pump. Let's see. We have Seeker. Oh, no, this is Sonic. I actually got their logo mixed up there. So this is Sonic, previously FTM, Phantom. 20.8% is up. So there's a few things that are pumping. He hasn't, but he's there now. Okay, cool. Again, I'm just curious. 10% for Jasmine. I love to see that. Jasmine, probably the worst performing coin that I have bought, but it's mostly on me. I think I bought it at a bad time, right? 9.8%. I think I bought it when it was up. And because I thought we were going into the next leg of the bull market, right? It was kind of the end of 2024, and I was like, all right, 4-year cycle. We're gonna get the bull run. Yeah, bull run never really happened. It was mostly the end of 2024 for altcoins. But I digress. I think we're in a totally different cycle and game now. But it had to get broken first, right? I just want to say that. Like the 4-year cycle for me had to get broken before I started looking for other things, because when you go look for new things when the old things are not even broken, most of the time you're just going to mess yourself up and the old things will pan out to be true. It'll be very interesting a year from now in hindsight to look back at it. I told him we started the show started. Thank you very much, Camps. I appreciate you. So this Islam coin is proceeding to pump some more. On the year, it's only up 17%. I know it went up huge at one point. Well, let's look at the monthly. Yeah, it came down a lot on the monthly. Let's look at the yearly, really. Okay, so it came down and then it violently went back up, and then it's just kind of pulled down since. I knew at one point it had spiked pretty hard. 37.4%. Lena up 36.6%. More of a serious project. I think has more serious people behind it. White Whale, of course, a meme coin, up 48.2%. So again, just some very key projects pumping. Magic Eden. I wonder if they changed their logo, but I'm pretty sure not a new project, right? Down 91.2% on the year. Banker coin getting some drawback here. BTC coming back to 68,000. Yep, I didn't think it was quite over for the drawdown on BTC, and I still don't. Back to 68,000. Yeah, so we're pumping up to 68,000, but my point is there's a good chance we still have plenty of drawback coming, or it could be over. It's really hard to tell sometimes. 18.5% for VThor. All right, we don't usually go much lower than the top 300 here. Let's go to our price rundown. So Bitcoin 67,658. I don't know where I got 9 from. It's what happens when I go back and forth between the chat. Oh, I got 9 because there are 9 people who are with us. That's where I got that from. I was just looking at the viewership. Anyways, Bitcoin, where it is, you can see if you look above my head here at the chart that they have the last 7 days. You know, we had this big pull down, we bounced pretty hard, and then it's been just kind of rolling over. You know, rounded bottoms, they say, pay the bills. Well, if you're shorting something, I guess rounded tops pay the bills, right? Wouldn't it be inverse? I still don't either. It is still in a downtrend, but it can't go straight down. Oh, yes, it can, Camsta. I'm not saying it will, but when you say things like it can't do this, you basically just challenge the universe to give you exactly what you said couldn't happen, right? So Ethereum, $1,967 here. And by the way, Melissa told me she wasn't going to be here, and she might not be here for a lot of the week. She got like a really good, not job, but not like she changed jobs or something, but she got a really good opportunity with her job. Anyways, XRP, $1.38. Down 7.4%. BNB, $612. I'll run through these quickly because I know these prices are depressing, or are they on sale? It depends on how much capital you have on the sideline. Solana, $80.25. Dogecoin, 9 cents. Cardano, 25 cents. Hyperliquid, $30. Monero, $349. Canton Network, 16 cents. Chainlink, $8.41. XLM, 15.5 cents. Zcash, $242. Man, that thing has taken a beating. HBAR, down 9 cents. Avalanche, is 9 cents. I don't know why I said it, down 9 cents. It's actually up 1.1% in the last 7 days. Avalanche, $8.74. SWE, 90 cents, down 16% in the last 7 days. And we'll go see where that flare is at. Has it climbed? Has it dropped? No, it's in the same place. It's number 75. Still in the top 100s now for a while. That's great. Let's go take a look at what is trending here. And there's still plenty of things to learn about. There's still plenty of things for us to talk about in the house. Greetings, beautiful people. I missed you all. Great to be back, Underground, my man. What's up, Blues guys? Looking forward to you being here. Gratitude and appreciation, Underground, for the work that you are doing for us. Much appreciated. You're very welcome. And I hope to kind of collectively make it so you come to the stream and you learn some things and we keep up with it. Like, I'm kind of doing a little bit of the grunt work of putting all the stuff together and feeding it to you. So all you got to do is relax after your day of work or whatever and just tune in, maybe conversate a little bit, right? But you don't have to go get on your computer and dig through everything. It's like I'm doing that for you and you guys are just tuning in. Again, I always wanted to find somebody who did this and I couldn't, so I had to do it myself. You got to step up to the plate sometimes when you can't find what you're looking for. Anyways, I digress. Barachain and Pudgy Penguins, Layer 0. This is what's trending. Uniswap, Bitcoin, Solana, Lena, Ethereum, Aster, BitTensor, Monad, Hyperliquid, Fartcoin, Pi Network, and Caspa. Good to see Caspa trending. It's been a while, right? All right, so let's see what we got going on in the chat here. It looks like Camsta is speaking French again. And we got it looks like a new name in the chat. It says Cody. What's up, Cody? Thank you for being here. We're just kicking off the stream. It says, when do you think we'll recover? I mean, if the 4-year cycle is open, and I'm assuming you know what the 4-year cycle is for BTC. You just commented in the chat. I have no idea where you are in your crypto education. It's very hard to tell with the 4-year cycle being so disrupted. It had been pretty much intact for like 12 years, and now it's not so much intact. So it's very interesting. It's hard to say. I think we have a little bit lower to go, personally. But I think there's a lot of world events going on. That's why this cycle has been so dramatically different. You know, there's the legitimacy of crypto's kind of gone up quite a bit, but at the same time, it's been really hurt by the lack of the things that we're used to that make us feel confident in the market. How about the blow off top, which should have been in 2025 at the end of the year for altcoins? Didn't get that. Didn't seem like we really got it very much for BTC, although it did pump. The altcoins just never got that money moving from Bitcoin into the alts. Again, I don't know how much you know about the cycle. Yeah, first time I do. Okay, cool. And I appreciate you being in here. If you could smash that like button, maybe sub. I don't know. That's a personal choice. But also, there's a link to our Discord in the chat where we hang out when we're not streaming. You could always, if you have Discord, join that. If you ever want to chat about anything while we're not streaming, I'm always available. But as far as your question, I do think we have a little bit lower to go, but I don't think it'll be that dramatic. Now, what's dramatic to me as somebody who's kind of numb to price action in crypto to what maybe is, you know, dramatic to you could be a big difference. So I want to preference that. We could go to 40,000, right? It's only 20,000 from where we are, but to a lot of people that would be a big deal. I've seen Bitcoin go way up. I've seen Bitcoin go way down. It just depends. I think this is something actually I want to take a moment because I already before the stream was thinking, and I kind of really wanted to talk to everybody about, you got to think bigger picture at this moment as far as your conviction, because your conviction is what holds you in the market. one way or the other, whether you're trading or you're holding long term. Most of my bags are spot long term holds, right? And even with the horrible, downtrend and condition, I'm still up overall on my bags. That just tells you how long ago I bought them, right? The bottom of the last bear market, right? And some things I even bought in the previous market, right? Previous bear market, that is. So I'm still holding because I don't think that the big picture realization and the integration is here. Now, there's a lot of people who get really tied up in adoption, right? In every cycle, we have people who says adoption's here, we'll never have another bear market. They always do that at the top. Well, we didn't have a violent, dramatic top of this market, so you're not getting as many people with that narrative, but now people are just really confused. But my point of what I was saying is that we need to think about money, follow the money. So you're telling me that all the big people, BlackRock, all the institutions, all these people, they just bought into crypto so that they could lose their money, when their main sell point, right, is being educated financial people who you can trust with your money to invest and make you more money with your money, right? Like, it's for people who don't want to do it themselves. They give the money to BlackRock, hedge funds, banks even. They want to make money for themselves. So you're telling me all of them bought ETFs, bought Bitcoin, bought all of this stuff because they didn't have enough hindsight to see that it was all going to zero? I doubt it. There's a lot of people, a lot of moving wheels, a lot of approvals that have to go from the top down in order to even, submit for ETFs or even buy ETFs and stuff. So my point is, the big players have positioned themselves with quite a bit of cryptocurrency, and it's hard for me to believe they all did that because none of them could see that it was worthless and it was going to zero. Now, I'm saying that tongue-in-cheek because obviously they know at some point it's going up. The problem, and to me, big difference between retail, which is every normal person, and your institutions, or what they call smart money, dumb money, smart money, right? These are the terms they would normally use. I'm not calling you that. That's just what they would say. So retail's dumb money, institutions and those type of things are smart money, banks. They play a much longer game. And that's why they usually win and win big, is because they're not scared to hold something for 8 to 10, 15, 20 years. Retail a lot of times doesn't have the attention span or the heart to do so. And a lot of them haven't done enough research and education to have the high level of conviction to hold through a bunch of terrible times and also buy more. See, they'll do really well because when we go really low bear market stuff, MicroStrategy is going to keep buying BTC on the low, right? And a lot of your hedge funds and stuff, they're going to load up on ETFs and stuff like that because they know at some point it's going to pop. And to be fair, they probably have even better knowledge than that. They probably know a little bit more of when it's going to pop. Now, let me get into the chat a little bit so I don't get crazy behind in the chat here. Cody, I hope that was helpful to you. I'll probably still talk a lot more about this, but if there's any other questions you have, feel free to ask. So all the Bitcoin OG whales sold. The financial institutions have come to pick up the slack. Will take them some time to accumulate. Also, they need to feel like crypto is legit. I don't think that institutions have any problem feeling like crypto is legitimate, although they will slowly get their toes in the water. They probably won't buy these extravagant amounts until we go lower. Anyways, yeah, I agree with you, but when you say all the Bitcoin OG whales sold, like, do they tell you that? And I know we have some whale wallet trackers and stuff like that. You could see some of it, and who wouldn't? I mean, you're up 1,000x on anything you bought, in the beginning. Anybody holding that, I don't know what you're waiting for. How many X's do you need before you're going to sell your position? Now, they're not up 1,000x right now, but at like 100,000, most of them were up 1,000x, and some of them got even in earlier than $1,000 for BTC. So my point is, yes, people are going to take profit, especially if they feel like it's going to go down. Are you staying away from live trading for now underground? I'm back and forth. I mean, if you look at it, like if you were to look at all of my trades, I've done really well. Like I very seldomly lose. When I do lose, a lot of times I lose big because I'm over positioned and I'm stubborn. And that's something I got to work on. I'm not done trading. I'm going to be trading some more. I just have to come up with some better measures. One thing I don't like to do is take a loss. I think anybody's there, and that is what's going to cost you the biggest. Now, with my last big trade, I can't really be mad at anybody. I had mitigated really hard to get out of a position, right? it actually came all the way down in my favor. I was up $250, and I guess I was just greedy. It's hard. I'm trying to figure out if it was smart. Now I know it wasn't smart. But anyways, at the time, I woke up in the middle of the night. I was kind of half asleep. I was up like $260 on my position. And of course, I should have sold. Very quickly, that 260 was like 150. But it seemed like we were trending down. So I was like, I'll just watch it for like 5-6 minutes, and I'll sell it if it goes up, and if it gets to like only being up like $60-$80, I'll just sell then and call it a win without taking a loss. Well, I fell asleep. That was stupid, but I'd randomly woken up in the middle of the night. I don't know how I was supposed to keep myself up. My point is that if I would have sold it then, none of this would be talked about. But what happened was, then I woke up, several hours later, and I was down. I was down like $150, $200, and it very slowly crept up to being down like $500. But so many times, and I'm telling you, so many times, I've been patient and held. Price came down. I usually almost always made some money. And so you get used to doing that. And so you get stubborn to the point where you don't want to sell. I have plenty of money. We're at like at this point we're trading River's at like $13, right? My liquidation level is like $17.50. So like in my mind, we're quite far away. We've only been pumping a couple of dollars at the most at a time, and it almost immediately gives it back. Go look at the River chart. You'll see what I'm talking about. And we pumped from $13 to $20 in probably a matter of a couple of hours. And if you look too, and I'm not trying to make a case, it is what it is. I lost money. What I did obviously wasn't the best idea, but I should have sold it way earlier on. But you'll see that River was one of the only things that pumped. Everything else was pretty much flat or trending negative 5-10%. And so it was very weird outlier. I just should have been better about, and I'm just talking out loud. This is like for me in my mind where I need to make a better decision, is I need to be a little bit more comfortable with cutting my losses and not hoping it'll go down. But man, so many times it comes back down, and I've gotten out of trades. So I just am a little stubborn when it comes to selling. And again, I was over positioned, and I could have got out for $100, $200, $500 loss. And I held it all the way up in some hope that it would come down, and it just didn't give it to me that time. So I just want to answer that. I will be live trading, and who knows, I might kind of look for a trade tonight. We'll see what's going on. Underground got the sauce. Thank you. Yep, hella saucy. I'm down over 6K on XRP and HBAR. Did I call him Cody earlier? It says Code Man. Oh no, this is a different person. But they have the exact same logo. He must have changed his name or something, right? Because now it says Code Man, and earlier it said Cody Ting. I don't know. Maybe he's on a different account. I don't know what's going on. But it says I'm down over 6K on XRP and HBAR. Code Man, all of those things are very dependent on, assuming you're not a bot, those things are very dependent on when you bought. So it's hard to say. This whole show is about crypto education and, crypto... raising your crypto IQ education, but also kind of having an idea of when to buy and when to sell. Now, I never give financial advice. What I mean by that is tops and bottoms of the market, right? Knowing when you're in the top or close to a top of a bull market, and knowing when you're close to a bottom of a bear market. So if you want to tell us what your average buy for XRP and HBAR is. Crypto being considered a high-risk asset is holding it's backed, especially in extreme fear. Yep, and I've heard a lot of stuff. I sub, by the way. Thank you very much, Code Man. I appreciate you. And I think you'll find a lot of stuff very interesting here. Matter of fact, I'm going to go into our story that's geared towards, we do a story every night. I always joke and call it the crypto bedtime story, but it's very much geared towards your education. So we have a topic every day. We do a series throughout the week, and it's all aimed at raising your crypto IQ, because I believe it'll make you understand what's going on far better and maybe make better choices. Again, that's for you to make better choices. I'm not giving anybody financial advice. So I appreciate your sub. Green Fingers in the house. What's up? Don't worry, it'll pump and make you proud. Underground, when the next flare video. Again, I've been super distracted by trading and stuff like that. I will get that next flare video ready, I promise. Thanks, man. Yep, absolutely appreciate it. Feel free to ask as many questions as you want. There's no dumb questions, and you also give me lots of stuff to talk about when you do, so I appreciate that. Nobody likes losing that much. I know how you feel. You did good though, brother. You got a good system, just need to sharpen it a little bit. Yeah, there's always another trade. Exactly. Now, I lost all my gains and a couple $100 on top of that into my original stuff. But originally I started with $400. I still have $680. I've only been trading this style for about, now it's 3 weeks, probably 3 weeks and a couple of days. So it's not like I've been running this style for months and months and months or years and years. So it's going to take some refining, and you're going to take some big losses when you're doing something completely different than what you've ever done. And I just learned a really hard lesson. One thing, probably, and I'm just talking out loud, probably one of my biggest strengths in life, and also my biggest, I don't know if you want to call it a weakness, I think there's a better word for it, but biggest strength, biggest weakness is that I'm super stubborn, and it's very hard for me to give up on something when I have my mindset towards it. And trading is something I've always wanted to do well, and I always mess it up. It's kind of the curse of learning how to trade, is that you're gonna make a crap ton of mistakes, and who you are as a person can make a big difference. And I just get too into it, and this is what I used to do before I had this new style, is I'd take a couple trades, like the lifer style pattern trades and stuff. If you're familiar with the lifer, if not, definitely go check him out on YouTube, Crypto Lifer. But anyways, I'd take a few of them, I'd make, a couple $100 or something, and I'd be real excited. And then you get to a point where it's like, I gotta be in a trade all the time, So the next thing you know, I go to the 5 minute, I find some more patterns, I take them, I make like another 50 to $100 or something, I'm doing great. And then I go into the 1 minute chart. This is where it always crushes me, right? Because I'm looking to find the next whatever, reversal, whatever. And the next thing you know, I'm in there trading like little flags and stuff on the 1 minute, just getting chewed up to the point where, like, in the next 6-7 hours after all of my wins, I'm trading in the middle of a Saturday, I'm trading Monday morning, and I'm just absolutely doing it to myself. And half the time in the middle of it, I realize it, and I just keep going, because you got to learn the hard way how to control your emotions. And I say all that just to let anybody know, like, that is completely normal. I mean, I've had the lifer, I've seen him say, and I've had him say to me before, like, it takes 4 years at least to become a good trader. He's not shy about that. He tells people that all the time. A lot of times they gloss over it and they don't want to listen to him, but it takes several years. 2 if you're just for some reason really adept to it. 4 if you're just like a normal person trading, and in that you're going to pay the cost of tuition a lot of times. And I love to say that very openly and very upfront, because if you're somebody who wants to get into this, I hate when I see people online and they talk about like trading is simple, you just buy at 9:30 and then you sell at 10:30 and every day you'll make money. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. I've watched markets, crypto especially, and a lot of them are directed towards crypto. I don't really care about stocks that much. Anyways, that's not how it works. You can't buy at 9:30 every morning and sell at 10:30 and you're going to make a bunch of money, and all the other things that they sell you, it's a bunch of junk. Anyways, I'll digress there, because I'm not trying to go at nobody. And I'm not even speaking to anybody directly. I've just seen tons and tons of that kind of content, especially in shorts, YouTube shorts, Twitter, whatever. You see those like ads and they're stupid. Great time now, change the pattern, bro. Yeah, exactly. And if I started with 400 and I turned it into over $3,000, I'll start with 680, actually 820 if I count the other $200 that I converted into XRP. And I'll make money again. I just gotta make sure I don't do dumb stuff. Again, if you look at my trades, you see big losses in like 30 wins, 50 here, 200 there, 100 there. And so I know I can win. I just gotta not lose. Anyways, let's talk about something else. Let's get into the story of the night, right? So the whole point of this story is that we used to just do a topic of the day. Then I switched it to, we do a theme for the week, right? So everything kind of went together and actually built upon each other a little bit better, because random topics were getting a little bit chaotic for people to follow. And then I noticed when I would read our talking points and go over the things, because I do have ChatGPT organize my thoughts, so I'm not just rambling here like I'm doing right now. And I realized that I needed more of like a story orientated angle to come from for everybody, so that like it sets the mood, sets the foundation, and sets the premise in a way that when we go from this to later doing our talking points, you're already kind of geared to understand what we're talking about. And with that, I'll be quiet and read. All right. A short story about voting and power. So we're talking about voting and power as it pertains to cryptocurrency. When DAOs first appeared, they felt revolutionary. Anyone could hold a token, anyone could vote, anyone could shape the future. It felt democratic, it felt fair. But over time, something interesting became clear. The vote wasn't the beginning of power, it was the end of it. Before a proposal reached the ballot, conversations had already happened, drafts were written, core contributors debated feasibly, and social sentiment was already formed. By the time token holders clicked yes or no, the outcome often felt inevitable. This doesn't mean governance is fake. It means governance is layered, right? Real influence flows through preparation, coordination, and expertise. The vote simply formalizes what has already been shaped. Now, this whole idea, when it comes to governance and voting and stuff like this, I don't know where you live. I live in America. This is also very much how any voting works, right? This is pretty much how any governance votes. Like if you apply this to politics, and I'm not getting political, I'm just talking about the infrastructure of politics and voting and stuff, specifically in America, because I don't really know any other country. But it's the same idea. By the time people get to the box to vote, there's been campaign ads, media ads, campaign, get-togethers, whatever you want to call them, where they talk about things, and it's been televised. Doesn't matter what you believe in, but they've preconditioned you to want to go one way or the other, right? That's what they're doing, and it's no different. My point is, it's no different here. So in crypto, we say code is law, but humans write the code. And humans coordinate long before tokens move. Understanding this doesn't weaken decentralization, it actually makes it real. Decentralization isn't a switch, it's a process, and the governance is one piece of a much larger system of influence. Once you see that, you stop asking who has the most tokens and you start asking who shapes the conversation. And I will say that, and I'm getting to my regular talking points here, but I will say that sometimes the people who make the most noise and change the direction of where people vote are people who are influencers who don't even hold any of the tokens, right? They don't even have any control over the governance, but maybe somebody's reached out to them. Maybe they paid them some money to lean one way, lean the other way, just like any other governance that exists. All right, so that was just a pre-preference, what we're going to be going over tonight. And when we're looking at what's trending, one, I'm telling you, what's trending. So we're going over it. That's our due diligence. And then the other thing is we're looking for coins we've never heard of or are new on the radar. And so nothing really to report there. We'll go back to CoinGecko for the top gainers, top losers after we look at crypto rank. Fear and greed index, 5. And this is where, to Cody or Codeman, his question here, the fear and greed index has always been a good indicator. I've watched Sam, which is a crypto lifer, I've watched him use this for years and years and years and years. And I've seen him really time when he goes harder in the market and when he doesn't go harder in the market. Like when we get to the extreme greed, sometimes it's good to sell those positions if you're swing trading, right? That are really up, sell some of them. Maybe not all of them, but at least sell a little bit of it so that you're getting the top of the market value. Now, I've seen this thing be just deadly accurate over time. Now, do certain things break and not work as good at some point? I don't know, but the fear and greed index is definitely a good way to see if we're in extreme fear or extreme greed. Like, I don't think anybody right now would argue that we are in greed or extreme greed or even neutral, right? We're not neutral right now. We are at least in fear, if not extreme fear. That's why you have a 5, and that fell from yesterday's 11. And then they give you 7 days ago, it was 12. So you can see we've been in this range of like 10, 11, 12, you know what I mean, for at least a week. And a month ago, it was at 26. So it tells you a month ago, we were looking a lot better than we're looking right now. Gives me like very bear market vibes. And in a minute, we're going to go over to Trading View. We're going to look at a few things and see if we can't discern a few things there. Wow, 5. Exactly, Camsta. Now, this is one thing I've watched a lifer do, and I've watched him make quite a bit of gains, right? To be nice, a lot of gains. Is that when it gets down to this, like, he starts buying aggressively. And not all at once. Like, if he had a certain amount of money set aside to get in the market, I wouldn't see him, like, dump that into the market, right? He would buy, and then tomorrow he'll buy, and the next day he'll buy, and over a couple of weeks, next thing you know, we're trending back in the opposite direction, and he's up on almost everything that he bought. So this could be a bit of a bottom indicator, but we could sit here for a couple weeks easily. You know what I'm saying? All right, here's a visual representation. You can see the only real greenness we had was back here at January 14th, 2026. BTC was at 96,997. Could I just say it was 97,000? And from there, you know, you don't see much before it, and then after it, you don't see a whole lot. That's on the month, right? Let's go look at the 6 month. Okay, so you had that one green day, relatively close to now, and the rest of it was all back when we were topped out around in the 120 region. We topped out at about 126. That would be the top of that cycle as of right now. All right, let's go look at what coins are trending. And I do need to look at this a little bit because they kind of changed the way that they were doing the trending coins. And I like it, but also I don't like it all at the same time. So they give us top 10, and you can go on and on and on forever there. And so we have Superform, which is up. We have Elon, and so up I'm not as familiar. Elon we've gone over many times here. Moonbirds, another one we've gone over a lot. Rainbow. If you see anything you want me to go over, feel free to shout it out. I'll tell you what I am going to go over and not going to go over. Zama, we've been following Zama for like a month before they ever put out their token. It's one of the great compounding effects of coming to this stream night after night is that we do find tokens a lot of time and know about what they are, because that's what we're into, researching and knowing where do they sit, what niche are they are, do they have any co-founders or CEOs that are predominant in the space that have led other projects to greatness, stuff like that. And so finally they generated a token. We've been keeping an eye on it. Let's see what the 24-hour trading volume. It's very back and forth. It's rather like under 100 mil or it's like 250 mil. And you know, it's kind of back and forth. Very interesting. So some days it's hot and some days it's not so much. INSO, Warden Protocol, Tria. We went over all of those yesterday. We only need to hold a range for a few weeks for that to get back to 50 before dropping again. Yeah, green fingers. Yep, exactly. Yeah, and the way the fear and greed, because again, the fear and greed is not just measuring price, right? It's measuring the sentiment in the market. So yeah, we could go up, and 50, I don't know, 50 seems like a little high in my opinion, but of course, if we have like 2, 3, 4, 5 days of everybody feeling like the bottom's in and we're going up, then yeah, it can move dramatically. Again, it's not, the fear and greed index is not a measure of price, it's a measure of sentiment in the market. So you have to keep that in mind. ZK Pass, Layer 0, I went to the next set of 10 here. We're going to at least do top 20. Infinex, Spacecoin, Plasma, which we went over quite a bit the other day. Monad, Tether, Uniswap, Sui, and BTC. So Superform, I don't believe is a new coin. Up sounds familiar. I feel like I've been over. Superform is an omni-chain yield marketplace. Oh yeah, I've been over this thing before. And it's been around since the 10th of February, 2026. Market cap 5.7 million. Only been as high as 13.8 million. So it's still a relatively new project here. Let's go take a look at their website. Oh, looks like they got multiple links for me. So we'll start at their Web 2 facing website here. And do you know the difference between Web 2 and Web 3? That is a very crypto IQ kind of question. Superform, grow your wealth effortlessly. Wow. I get what they're getting at. I don't like when anybody says anything is easy. Those are usually not the people who I trust with my money who tell me stuff is easy. Earn more interest on your cash and crypto, right? So banks 0.5%, treasuries 4.2%, and Aave 2.5%. Super USD giving you 4.2%. It's not horrible. It's not great. And they're going to tell you all about their security and stuff. Remember, this is all like when you read a website, it's like if you had the spokesman or a salesman at your front door and they were telling you all the things that they thought might sell you on. That's a good way to put it, really. It's like a salesman at your door or knocks on your door. They're telling you all the good things you might want to hear that might get you to sign up with them, go with them, switch from another whatever company they're selling for. So you kind of have to take anything that's on their website for a grain of salt. So here's their flagship USDC Super Vault, getting 15.6%. These yields are good. That's one thing I gotta say. These yields they look really good. They're not crazy high to the point where I'm just like, I wouldn't put. When I see one, they're like 50% APY. I'm like, for how long? You know, can you give me 50% APY for even 6 months? Most of them can't. And so I like a good between 10 and 20 as a high yield. It's more sustainable. Now you start getting towards the 20% region, I almost would like to know all the details, right, of how the heck they're doing that. They do have a tab here that says transparency. And okay, this is where they're just going to tell you how much is in each one. So there's only 1.5 million in their flagship Super Vault. And as the amount of money grows in some of these, sometimes it's hard to get the same yield consistently. It's one thing to get 15% yield on 1.5 million. It's another thing to get 15% yield on 105 million. You see what I'm saying? So sometimes that does play a role. And so you might want to, if you were into these things, you might want to look in the back end, like look at this one. The wrapped ETH Super Vault only has $542,000 in it, right? This one has 17 million USDC flagship Super Vault. The wrapped BTC one was the one that was 1.5. The USDC Super Vault was the one that I was saying had 15.6 APY. So you kind of got to do your due diligence and research there and check them periodically to make sure that the APYs haven't gone down, because these APYs I'm sure get adjusted, right? And let's just read one of these and see what it says, right? So base APY 5.42%, right? Up token rewards. Okay, why'd it go away? Will be distributed pro rate each epoch post token generation event based on users' accumulated Superform points and balance. The FDV is estimated based on the last investment round price. I don't know why they made it so small. So the fully diluted value is what FDV stands for. And so hold away, where are we at? Yep. Camps that says hold the door. Yep. Wrap flare. Exactly. And so, you know, one thing you got to note here is off rip you see, oh, I'm going to get 15.6%. Well, the base that you're kind of guaranteed here is 5.4%. The other 10% is coming directly from up in the form of, I guess, their token. So you got to keep that in mind. How much you're going to get and what is the price difference going to be between the time you get it and you don't. And it's only getting paid out per epoch. So how long do you have to be in it? And how long do you have to hold when the epoch ends? How long are these epochs? All of these type of things you do have to look into, right, when you're looking at stuff. Somewhere, hopefully, they have some of this information. But I'm not going to go that much deeper into this project right this moment. And yes, that was Panzer Dogs. We do love some DeFi gaming here. Bro, that's the Flare ecosystem, LOL. Yeah, I got you. And here, I was actually over here. So if we go and we click categories, you can see it's in a bunch of different ecosystems, right? It's an Arbitrum, Base, Ethereum. It's very interoperable. So I don't doubt that it's touching Flare somewhere in this as well. Let's see, Ethereum and Base, the main blockchains though. It's a neobank, which I'm seeing that term a lot more in a lot of places. Maybe that's why this thing is pumping. Maybe people are looking towards yield-based things to park their crypto. In the meantime, while they're waiting for things to go back up, would be a smart move. So we have Tria as well. That's trending here. 34.4 million in market cap, only been as high as 60 million. Not a huge disparity. Matter of fact, the chart doesn't look horrible, right? If you pulled a Fibonacci on this thing, full range, you would see you're at the 0.618. Pretty much beautifully wicked down in it. I wouldn't be surprised if you got a drop down into the 786, but when playing Fibonacci's, for me, when you break the bottom line, which is where you pulled your Fibonacci from, at the bottom, that is yellow line I highlighted, when you break that, all bets are off. As far as playing the actual Fibonacci retracement, once you break that bottom line, like, the game's over, in my opinion. That's when I would get out. That's why my break evens usually go under, you know, wherever the zero line is, with the slightest bit of room for it to wick under in like the flash wick or something like that. But I play pretty close to the bone on Fibonacci retracements. No, anything W before the coin Like WETH is Flare. Even if they are on another blockchain, it's a bridge. I don't know about that, Blues guy. I actually don't believe that to be accurate. A W just means wrapped. It means a synthetic version of something. It doesn't indicate Flare at all. Now, Flare uses wrapped assets, of course. Many protocols use wrapped assets, but a W just means wrapped. So if I have, money, if I have Ethereum on the Ethereum blockchain, and say I go to BNB and I want to use Ethereum, I'm going to use a wrapped Ethereum. So it's going to say WETH to indicate that it is a synthetic or a wrapped version of whatever coin it is. And if I were to take my ETH and wrap it and use it over on BNB, that has nothing to do with Flare at all. Now, Flare uses wrapped assets. Absolutely. Flare uses a lot of wrapped assets, which is great. Nothing. It's just a representation or a placeholder of the token that you originally have that's locked up, usually in a smart contract or with a bridge, you know what I mean? Utilizing a smart contract. And then you're getting a representation of that, right? Okay, I hear you. I mean, maybe, I don't know that Flare invented the wrapped asset. That could be true. I'm not saying that's not true because I don't know. Even if they are on another blockchain, it's the bridge. Yeah, Flare invented wrapped. I don't believe that's true because we had wrapped assets like many, many years ago. But it could be. I don't know how long Flare has been around. Like, when was the first year that Flare existed? Was it, 4 years ago? Was it 10 years ago? I don't really know. Maybe they did invent. Just like, what is it? I don't know why I want to say Polygon. That's not the right thing. The ones that invented the term Web3, right? Which is Polkadot. Polkadot team, they invented the term Web3. Well, we still use Web3, and honestly, Polkadot, not really relevant anymore. In my opinion, I don't really see them coming back to being relevant either. And honestly, good riddance. I was never a big fan of Polkadot. Sorry, not Polygon. That's a layer 2 on Ethereum. Anyways, let me move on. So we have ZK Pass, layer 0. You should know what those are. Again, if you're somebody who's new here and I read something and you're like, what is that? I've never heard of it. Just drop it in the chat. I'll go over it for you. Infinex, I'll touch on that one. Space Coin, I can't wait to never see that coin ever again. Infinex is a decentralized exchange offering a user-friendly trading experience similar to centralized exchanges. So they're an exchange, right? How much more do you really need to know about an exchange? There's so many of them. I've seen a couple really good decentralized exchanges that have multiple different, networks that you can change to in them. They're decentralized. They have most of the coins. And once you see like 2 or 3 of these really well put together exchanges, I don't know why we need a bunch more of them. Most people want an exchange, maybe 2, to utilize for different things. Like if I had one exchange that had like all of the, coins pretty much, like MEXC always has all the coins, right? And then there was another exchange that had maybe things like stocks, Tesla, gold, that maybe, let's just hypothetically say Weeks didn't have, because I'm pretty sure Weeks does have all of those. And so I might have 2 exchanges, maybe 3, right? But what do I need 8 different decentralized exchanges for? And then like 3 centralized, it just becomes too much, right? Too much stuff going on. Flare 2019. Okay, nice. I'm not arguing with the boss. Hey, you're good, Blues guy. I would love to actually know. I'd actually really like to know if they invented the wrapped asset, because that would be a really interesting factoid to say to people and sound really smart. No, I'm just joking. C-Dated says, smash the like button. I appreciate you saying that, brother. Hopefully you've subbed and joined our Discord. Definitely look forward to more people in the Discord to chat with. We even have a voice chat where we can hang out and just chat like on the phone, like you were talking to me on the phone or other people on the phone. That way, some people don't like to text a lot, like sit there and type and type and type. It's one thing when you're going back and forth a couple of sentences. It's a totally different thing when you're like trying to like put these big paragraphs together. When people text me like that, I'm like, yo, call me. I'm not doing this with you for the next 6 hours. Like, just call me. Anyway, Space Coin, I will barely mention it because it is on the radar and it might do well. The market is speculation, right? It's not reality. That's why tech and good founders and stuff doesn't always make a project pump. How well can you sell it? We're in an attention economy. Anyways, it's DePIN, which means decentralized infrastructure, powered by satellites. They want to put satellites in space and make sure everybody has decentralized internet. I understand the use case completely, right? But I don't really get how many people, no matter what country you're from, are waking up and they're like, I like my internet, but it's not decentralized. Like, I need decentralized internet. I've never one time heard anybody, especially even in the world of crypto and decentralization, I've never heard anybody say that, ever. It might have a really good use case that I'm not understanding. But again, you buy Space Coin here and you're expecting them to have the money to launch satellites, the money to continuously pay people who already have satellites for the right to use them. Very similar to like a mobile network, right? Some people operate off of AT&T towers, Verizon towers. They own the actual towers, just like other people own the actual satellites. And you have to pay a certain amount as a right to use them. Or they have to launch their own satellites, and that has to go well. I don't know. I'm kind of out on that. It's too big of a leap. Now, maybe 2 years from now, they're showing me rocket launches and touting how good their internet is, and they have 100 or 100,000 satellites, whatever, and then I'll change my mind. But as of right now, I'm not very excited. And we went down another 10. I do like that this gives me a lot more. Oh, and I can just change it. Yeah, show me the top 50. That would be cool. All right, need that many. The speed, the UK banned them. Oh yeah, it's hilarious. Yeah, exactly. Flare 2019. Yep, wrapped Bitcoin, the first major wrapped asset, was created in January 2019 as a collaborative effort by three main organizations: BitGo, RIN, formerly the Republic Protocol, and Kyber Network. That's why Underground is the man. You are right, kind sir. Hey, no worries. We're always trying to research and get to the bottom. Iron sharpens iron. I know we might have a new person or two here. I didn't start this so that I could be the smartest person in the room. I started it to make myself constantly actually do the due diligence daily of the research, and also I wanted people to hang out and talk to. We are doing this together, everybody as a community, and iron sharpens iron. So I don't really see a whole lot of other things. Fight ID was on the network. It's trending down at like number 29. I don't know. It had a really bad price action at one point. I remember somebody told me it rugged on the stream, and it's not looking amazing. That doesn't look great, right? So it went back and it retested again, like playing the Fibonacci's. Like, you haven't broke that zero line, but I'd be a little stressed out if I was in this trade and I bought at the 786 and it was doing this crap. Yeah, let's go ahead and throw our bottom line in there. And I say if this thing loses its bottom line, I wouldn't touch it until, something very bullish played out, right? Doesn't look good. They promised a lot of stuff as far as partnerships with the UFC and stuff. Does it hold up? Anybody could say that, right? And if you're from a country where it's hard for the UFC to send like a cease and desist letter or hold you accountable, they'll just throw them away. They'll probably never get the cease and desist letter, right? Anyways, I did want to port us over to look at BTC a little bit and see if there's anything we can extract out of it. Clicking all the wrong things. All right. You would have thought I've never done this show before. Here we go. So we're on the 5 minute. The first thing that jumps out at me is, of course, this inverted head and shoulder. And I already went ahead and grabbed the measured move. I did this like 2 minutes before we hopped on live. So I'd have, so I would have some idea what's going on right here, right now. And so if this played out, this would be your measured move up to about $70,777. There's them 777s. Not that I'm very into numerology, honestly. And that basically just kind of gets you up to like this point over here. Let's go ahead and grab some different levels, and I'm just roughly throwing these as tops and bottoms, but that would get you back up in that range. And ranges usually pull you in certain directions, so you could make a nice Bart Simpson and come right back down to the bottom, or you could flag out in something nice and you could get a continued pump. Anything can happen from there, and there's zero guarantee that you're even going to get that. But what I really wanted to look at is more like the daily here, right? And see what we could discern. So some critical bottoms would be like here, bottom slash tops. course, your very top. Maybe grab this level as well. Let's adjust that a little bit. And obviously I'm doing this roughly on the daily. They could probably be a little more perfect. That's not really what I'm getting at. Of course, a lot of people had noted this giant head and shoulder on the daily. I've seen Bitcoin evade these a couple of times. Maybe not on the daily, but on big charts. And that last shoulder is kind of weak, but, you know, does that just say that there really wasn't even a lot of strength to even give you a good, you know, right shoulder? And so that would measure move you to like 42,738. I've heard, or maybe more. Let's just say 40,000 for the sake of argument here. So can we get all the way down to 40,000? Can we all load back up and hope for the next bull run? I don't know. One thing I wanted to pull on it was some fib. Let's pull some fib here. I'd pull from like this impulse because it's like the most notable impulse here. And that would say that you're pretty much bouncing, you know, you bounced through the 618 down to the 0.65, and 40,000 would get you a little bit lower than the 786. A lot of times we go to the 786, but on a much bigger time frame. I don't really know. And look how long, like, we came down on this wick, right? And we were there for a while. I mean, this is a daily chart, so you were there for, I don't know, 2.5, 3 weeks or something like that, just guessing. Not counting every little candle, obviously, maybe a month before you got the bigger drawdown. So we could span in this area for a month or more before a bigger drawdown happens. We just got to keep an eye on it. It's one of these things, like, I love how the Lifer does a top-down analysis every day. I really learned that from him, especially when I'm trading. When I'm not trading an asset, like when I'm not trading BTC, I don't always do a top-down analysis every day. But when I am paying heavy attention to the markets, I like to start at the daily at least, if not higher, and go ahead and take a look there. Let's go over to the weekly, though. The weekly still give you about the same impulse, right? Let's get rid of some of these lines because they become confusing when we pull our fib. They kind of make it extra confusing. All right, let's get rid of these. And let's grab that fib. And that would say, yeah, you bounced off the 786. Obviously, it pulled a little deeper before it was pulled more like here. This is more of the full range. I mean, if you want to pull the entire range of BTC, but no. Your impulse really started here for this run up. And I mean, you had a run up. You went from 15,000 to 126,000, and people will tell you you didn't have a bull market. Well, Bitcoin had a bull market. I just think a lot of us were really excited to have the altcoin season, right? Because altcoin season is where you can turn a little bit of money into a lot of money, and it was Bitcoin only, and that was that. Why did they bother coming out with Dogecoin ETFs if Dogecoin's never going to do anything? You know, certain things like that. I do believe that there is a bit of market research that goes on before you do things like that, and then the incredible amount of money that they throw at certain things like that. I think they did a little bit of research. Now you can see that that wick really bounced right off of the weekly 200 moving average. If you got Lifer Vision, you know how important 200 moving averages are. Now let's bounce into something more like the let's go to the 3-day first. It's a big jump to go from the weekly to the 4-hour. And you played around with the 3. See how important these 200-day moving averages on the 3-day chart. Even really all the 200s is what I'm saying, but this is the 3-day chart, and it's bottomed out. So there's that. And in the time that you came down and was messing around with this 200, just kind of a little above it, a little below it, a little above it, you reset your Stokes. That's what happened to me in my river trade. I couldn't believe how fast the 15-minute reset at Stokes. Like, it did it so fast while price action did like absolutely nothing. And that is a really good indicator that it's going to continue to trend in the direction that it's trending, right? So it was already trending down. Stokes reset for the 3-day. It was ready to run again. As of right now, I mean, 3-day has some bullish divergence. It's another thing I'm a big fan of are your divergences. If I can find the right thing here. So you can see this trends up while this is pretty much flat. It's the slightest trend up, right? I'm not an expert by any means on divergence. I've gotten a little better more recently with them, that's for sure. But sometimes you'll see a divergence like this, and then this will come down more and come down more, and then like you'll pull your chart and you'll be like, well, technically it's still the same divergence, but just because you find a divergence even on a big time frame doesn't mean it's going to immediately bounce, right? It still plays out. It means that it'll most likely bounce, right? But doesn't mean it'll always bounce. I would like to know what the odds are on divergences and stuff, but it's probably per time frame, and that's where it gets a little confusing. Let's get rid of this Fibonacci here because it's just cluttering up the chart. So then we drop down into the 4-hour. One thing I really don't like is this rollover. Like that really is just rolling over. If rounded bottoms pay the bills, then what? Rounded tops pay the bills for people who are shorting, or it crushes everybody's dream. Could get a double bottom there. You know, very odd like W pattern in the middle of it. Look at this. Probably see it better if I drop into like the 2-hour chart. I mean, you really had a shoulder, head, shoulder, and like another little gimmick there, but pretty much a head and shoulder pattern. Let's see if that played out. You'll always be really amazed by the measure moves. I know for the longest time when I watched a lifer as a youngin, or a newbie, if you will, I was very amazed at how often his measured moves played out almost perfectly. This one did give you a little short, was a little short there, but it still played out. That if you would have took that head and shoulders, you would have been in the money at some point. 4 hours reset, right? It looks like it's going to get rejected by the 21, potentially go lower. You could have a double bottom, or this thing could just roll over and dump. Nothing is assured. All we know is the fact of our own ignorance. You'll see so many inverted head and shoulders and regular head and shoulders, and it doesn't always give you what you think. They don't always play out. They're a percentage, right? If they play out 68% of the time, then they don't play out 100% of the time. And I see people, they'll be like, well, there was an inverted head and shoulder. It should have been the bottom. I put all my money in it, and it went the other way. And it's like, yeah, they win 68% of the time, not 100% of the time. If we had a pattern that did what we wanted it to, even 98% of the time, which the closest thing to that would be like an Adam and Eve double bottom or even double top, I say it's probably closer to 90%, then everybody would be making a ton of money and the markets would pretty much not exist. All right, well, I feel like we really covered a lot of that stuff. Take a quick peep at River here. This is the 1 minute chart. Let's look at something a little bigger than a 1 minute chart. And this is what I got caught up in here, from literally like under $13 to, well, it would be this first leg, which was $20.16. It did even go higher to $21.38. Now it's down at $16, which even if I was somehow still in it and I would have added a bunch of money to have a higher liquidation, I don't know why that didn't come to me, but either way, I would still be underwater here and have tons of fees for holding it. Says, yep, you're right, kind sir. Says Blues Guy, I see flare everywhere, LOL. Hey, nothing wrong with that. If you're into flare, you're going to see it everywhere. BTC had the tiniest little Asia pump. Now it seems like it's changing direction. Remember that BTC just straight fell to 59,000 with no resetting. Yeah, exactly. That's wild. You have everybody wanted, and this has been echoed many times, everybody wanted the big money to come into crypto, right? So that price could go up and we could all make a bunch of money. What I don't think that they knew, I don't think they knew what the heck they were saying. When big money comes into crypto, you get all the traditional TradFi money games. And this is what you're watching, in my opinion. This is all straight manipulation. All of it. The October 10th thing that happened, everything. All of this is classic games. And if you view it from that perspective, as I do, then you'll think to yourself, well, what is the goal? What is the aim? What are they trying to do? Accumulate. They're trying to accumulate. Most of them completely missed out on the early days of most of the important coins. They're not really looking, why did you not have an altcoin season? Because they don't really care about altcoins. They pick maybe the top 5 to 10 at the most predominant coins or companies in a market, and that's what they focus on. They don't need to own all the little ones. They need to own the big ones, right? So XRP, Ethereum, Bitcoin, not putting any necessarily order here, but how do you get it? And so here's the difference, in my opinion. These are all just my opinions, right? The big difference compared to, say, other markets is that, you know, there's paper contracting. There's abilities to get your hands on them. Like maybe you just like make more shares, right? The company can just make more shares and sell them out, whatever. And in crypto, you actually have to pry the coins from the people who own them. So how would you do that, right? If you were a hedge fund, if you were a big money maker in the market, or a market maker, you know what I mean? If you were somebody who ran a bank and you were collectively, you know, together, putting your minds together with those people, and you had to get the coins, how would you do it? How would you get people to sell their crypto that you knew was worth a lot and 10 years from now is going to be worth, you know, exorbitantly more, right? How would you get that money? How would you get those crypto coins out of those people? You'd have to drag them through the dirt. And you would know that a large percentage of them, especially whales and stuff, have high conviction. And so you're going to have to really drag them through the dirt in order to get them to finally sell their coins. And in a place where a lot of people brag about how diamond hands they have, they're going to make you hurt, because they need you to sell those coins, because they need to have a high percentage, 80-90% of a total asset. That's how they roll. And if anybody doesn't know that's how they roll, then go look at Wall Street a little bit and how much BlackRock and these people own of your S&P 500, your top 500 projects. You'll find that they own almost all of it. All right, tough call. Oh man, that's a big pump for River. Maybe you could have made your money back on the way down. Well, exactly. But honestly, one of my big things is when I take big losses, I don't immediately get back into anything. I'm not going to touch it. You know what I'm saying? And the other crazy thing is I'd love to show you. I don't know if it's all that relevant right now. I still could probably show you. On the liquidity map, which the liquidity map had been gold for making money. It had been really good to me. We had liquidity above us, but nothing crazy, nothing that screamed like we have to go up. Sometimes there's just layers and layers and layers and layers of liquidity. Matter of fact, let me pull up liquidity map here just to kind of demonstrate. Maybe we could see what the liquidity is looking like here. I don't know if I really want to get in a trade at 938. But yeah, you can see like, oh, I can't draw on this. I'm like looking for the drawing pin. You can see that like there's obviously way more liquidity up here than there is down here, right? And really you want to go to like 48 hours, I've found is much better, right? So you have a really high volume node at $18, 740,000, and you have quite a bit of liquidity to get you up there. Now you do have this little gap right here, and those little gaps is where your pump will usually stop. And sometimes recorrect and wait to build a little bit of liquidity. Sometimes it'll smash right through it. When this thing pumped, where were we? Here. Yep, this is the 1 to 21. Look at this. Let's see if we can. I gotta drag over here. But you can see, so I really wish I had the pin. So we were down here, right? Like 14.8. Really, we were lower than that. I don't know what these prices are indicating. Yeah, this is the run, right? Okay, anyways, the point is you could see how heavy the liquidity was, and we were way down here right at the liquidity. So I was just waiting for a little push into liquidity and then take my profits and get out of the trade. That's the only reason why I got stuck in the stupid trade. But you can see this thing had a giant candle from, you know, like, let's see, where were we at here? Oh, it'll tell us. So the low was 15.2. And the high was 1620. So this thing just boom, straight up, and I was down like $500-600, right? Anyways, and then it proceeded to just pump, and you could see the liquidity. Like, look at this big pump up here. There was no liquidity there. Like, literally, it just pumped up into an area where at least liquidity I couldn't see. Now, you do have your over-the-counter type of trades, but they do specifically for large amounts of money, OTC they call it, to not move the market when they take, you know, big things. There could have been liquidity up there, and I just can't see it. And that's just the luck of the draw. It's the game. Now, that doesn't make me like believe that the liquidity chart is garbage and useless all of a sudden. It just makes me believe that you got to be a little bit more protective of your money, and not think that, you know, just because there's a high amount of liquidity inches or centimeters away from price action, that it's always going to go to it. Just usually when it doesn't go there, it doesn't just explosive candle to the opposite direction and then continue to run for 2-3 hours with no release. It's actually very rare that it does that, but it is what it is. What's your low targets on your river short? I don't necessarily have any. The way that I trade is very in and out. So like, I'm not holding a trade usually. You know, that trade is actually one of the longest ones I hold, which kind of went against my, you know, thesis for what I'm doing in general. So that was another red flag. I'm with the way that I'm trading, I'm not supposed to hold a trade for very long, right? Mitigate, get a tiny bit of drawback or pump depending on if I'm long or short, and get out, right? That's the whole name of the game. Not supposed to hold for a day or 2 days or anything like that. And so that was a big red flag. So when you say targets, you know, I'll have targets very local targets. Like, let's go right here. This would be my example. If I was looking for a trade right now, I would say, well, you have some liquidity above you. It's 193,047, and then you really don't have much until you get a little higher. Again, that liquidity is at $16.14. You don't have any more liquidity that I can see on the heat map till $16.48, which is a decent gap, and it's only 96,000. Well, when I go look under us, I have 193,000 right at 15.53, and then you have 159,000 right under it at 150.41. So there's not a very big gap there. And then of course you have some more high volume nodes here that is not so far away. If you've ever heard the lifer talk about the heat maps, book map that we use mostly for BTC, you'll know that a lot of times the closest, densest liquidity is where you're ultimately going. It'll play games, right? Like, it could easily come up and grab this top liquidity and then come back down, or it could go down and then go grab it. Like, you're never 100% sure. So right now, if I were to hop into a short for River, you know, I'd be looking for it to come down to $15.53 and hoping that it got some follow through down into $15.41. And then once it, almost every time that it goes down into liquidity, it has a pullback, right? So I would sell, wait for the pullback, and if I thought it was going to go lower, I'd come back to the liquidation map, I'd refresh it, and then we just play this back and forth game where I'm constantly getting in and out and in and out. Again, you'll see that I win a lot of trades. It's just when I lose, I'm messing up when things start going. Well, I mitigate. When I mitigate a lot, I need to get out immediately, and I had opportunity to get out, and I got greedy, or I thought there was a high probability that we were going to go into this lower liquidity here, and it never did it. And not only did it not do it, it explosively, you know, $13 to $20 is a big run for River. If you go back and you look at River, aside from when it just ran basically straight up, aside from that, you don't see any times where it moves that much. At least not in the like 3.5 weeks that I have been watching it. But you live and you learn, right? Yeah, where was you aiming for to take profit on your last short? It was very little from where we were. And hopefully you understand what I'm saying, Green Fingers. I think you have a very different trading style than what I'm doing. So hopefully it makes sense to you. I need to go. This is the last 24 hours. So we need to go. Let's go to the 3-day chart, right? So we would have been right about here. No, we must have been here. Yeah, this is where we were. Okay, right here. So we were here, and there was a ton of liquidity. So I would have probably have gotten in the short about here, right? So I would have been from like $13.70 or something like that. And I would have been looking to get out at about $13.40. So very little movement needed to make a decent amount of money. And a lot of times I chip away $50, $60, $120, $10. You know what I mean? I just slowly chip away depending on what the market is, or the candles are showing me, right? 100%. Yeah. And everybody has their own different trading style. Again, this style might be junk. I've been practicing this specific strategy for like 3 weeks, and I turned $400 into, I mean, honestly, if you don't count all the losses, you know what I mean? I turned it into quite a bit of money. It would have been like $5,000. But, you know, I lost 1,000, and then I kind of made it back, and then I lost another 1,000, and I had pretty much made it all back. Like 850 I had made back out of that last 1,000 when I completely rinsed myself. So like when I lost, I was up like $2,300 at that point, and I lost about 25 and a half. So it was all my gains and a tiny bit of my capital. But again, I had made quite a bit of money pretty quick. We're talking about like 3 weeks. A lot of people couldn't make that money that quick, and that's because the strategy is really good, except for when it goes horribly wrong, you could lose a lot of money. And if I would have just cut it off at being down at $500, cut it off being down $1,200, I'd still be in the game with a lot more capital. That's the part that's hard for me. This is the learning part. This is really what I'm learning right now, is I'm learning how to just go ahead and rinse my hands and let go of a trade when I'm underwater a decent amount. And I'm stubborn again because so many times I've been down $1,000, $500, and it eventually comes right back down for me within a matter of like 30 minutes to an hour. And then I get out, and almost all those times I make 20, 30, 50, 100, $200. And so there you go. Yeah, want to be abolished. I made like $50 today with BTC. There you go. Not a bad day, just trying not to lose it. Exactly. One of the hardest things when you make some money, it's like, dang. Then a lot of times you lose it. If I can do 30, $50 a day, I'm happy. Yeah, that's not bad at all. I bought some ICP and Link today. There you go. Drizzy loading up while everything's on sale. Black Friday. And again, it's all about time frames. You know, for that buy for Drizzy, is that going to be an amazing buy in percentage a week from now? Maybe not. You know, is that going to be amazing if we go down a little bit more a month from now? Maybe not. But at some point, the market's going to go back up, and it's going to be a good buy. It just depends on how long you're planning to hold here. And another thing is, like, I'm usually trading like patterns. Like, look at this inverted head and shoulder that it seems like you're trying to make here. But with River, I got completely away from trading any patterns, especially inverted head and shoulders, because they almost never, ever played out. And I just stuck a lot more to my liquidity levels, right? And some support and resistance and stuff like that. Don't really know if I really want to dabble in a whole lot of trading right this second on a Wednesday night at 10 o'clock. Yep. Sometimes you got a DCA. Exactly. Good luck with alts, man. My Ondo is like 30% of what I bought it at. It's very normal. We are in a bear market for sure. Or a bear trend, if you want to call it that, if that makes it feel better. So join the fun with Underground Crypto, bringing you the latest crypto news, updates, and new projects while having fun. IQ moments imminent. Join the Discord and be part of us. Yeah, definitely appreciate you saying that. Thanks for putting that in there. Thanks for being a mod for the channel. All that stuff. And so if I was going to get into this, I'd have to go back and look at the liquidity. I'm just trying to give you an example of my thinking. I take some time off when I take a big loss. It's just good, you know, because you'll get in there and just kind of revenge trade like crazy. And a lot of times you'll just get more chopped up than it's really worth. Okay, I'm not sure if I did this. This is being really slow. There we go. So we just chewed through a bunch of liquidity to the upside. built some liquidity under us, came back down. That is a lower high. You do have some liquidity very close under us, but it looks like it wants to go for this. Come on, cooperate. It looks like it's trending up to this 198K, but when it gets there, I don't really know if it has a lot of room. Very interesting. Usually the markets are better, so you'd have a lot more tight liquidity, right? It does look like it's eventually going to want to run up to this $18. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to go up immediately, but it does feel like it probably wants to run up here and grab this $1 million just up here. But you have a big gap you got to get through. So for me to go long, if I saw this get up into like, say, you know, $16.90, call it more like $17, if we pumped up into the $17, there could be a nice long up to about 18. It's a nice dollar range. Can make some good money on that. El Cheeto in the house. What's up, El Cheeto? Thank you for being here, brother. I appreciate you. But there's also a lot of liquidity, and normally I always think of the market makers as very greedy, and this usually plays out. They probably want to grab this liquidity. There's 364K. If they're going to start trending up, why not flash down first, grab some liquidity, and then go up? Another school of thought is sometimes I feel like they leave a nice little bit of liquidity so that when they go up, then they can trend back down. And I mostly would need to watch River for a little while. I haven't been watching it like at all. 15-minute loss to 200 after this big pump. And when you're under the 15-minute 200, I'm definitely more bearish than I am bullish. Looks like there's a decent short right here, almost making that other. If we did, because you see your 1 minute RSI is topped out, and you got your 3 minute. It's still got room though. Looks like maybe a rejection at the 21 or the 200. We'd have to kind of watch this a little bit. Now my sentiment before was very, bearish. That's why I was shorting it. $13 area. So this liquidity down here would be like $14.90. So not quite down to that level. Here, if we expand a little bit and we go to like maybe the 3-day, maybe we could see a little deeper. Yeah. So look, right here, this is a good example. This looks to me like there is way more liquidity to the downside. Way more, just layered. And I noticed that, this is just my own observation, obviously. I noticed that it really gets pulled more towards heavy layered liquidity, right? Than just one spot. Like here, there's a big spot up here that has 890K. I'm sure it'll go grab that eventually, but it really likes this high layered stuff. It just chews right through it, and you see like a lot of price action movement. Not just a quick move, but a continuous move, right? Says, yes, sir. Hope all you are doing well. What's up, UG? What's up, El Cheeto? I'm good. We're here constantly raising our crypto IQ, as I promised that I would continue to do, no matter what the market and BTC is doing. And I appreciate you coming back to the channel and saying what's up. I know everybody loves you. I know everybody is always asking where you're at when you're not around. So thank you for gracing us with your presence. And we were just kind of looking at potentially if we were going to get into a trade. I don't know. Right now, I'm not really feeling it. I'm not feeling like I want to be in a trade right now. Another thing that I've noticed is my trading style actually works much better, much better on the weekends in the chop. It just does. Just the way that I play it. I don't. If I could, it's like, if you think about this is a weird way to think about it, but if you knew your trading style well, and I've only been doing this trading style for a couple of weeks, but I understand kind of what I want, then you think, what price action is best for my trading style? Chop. Chop is the best for my trading style. If we chop in a range, I make money all day long. It's those random moves elsewhere where the liquidity map comes in handy. Anyways, let's go to our talking points of the day, right? We're already an hour and a half. I did a really short stream yesterday. I think that's why a lot of people probably missed the stream. Hopefully some of you guys watched it. We covered everything that we normally cover. We did our show. We did what's trending. You know, we did everything we normally do. We just didn't do a lot of the extra stuff. Obviously, there was no trading in it, and there was no, playing games, DeFi games. There was none of that. So the promise of on-chain governance, right? So again, we were talking about voting, DAOs, governance. What does this really mean? I'm not here to hype nothing up. I just want to understand it logically and precisely. And sometimes it seems like with a lot of our recent series, we're uncovering maybe some uncomfortable truths about crypto that a lot of people don't really want to talk about. And that's why you don't see other channels talking about it. So let's talk about governance, right? Governance in crypto was designed to solve a core problem. Who makes the decisions in a decentralized system? DAOs and token voting emerged as a way to distribute authority. In theory, token holders collectively steer the protocol, but in practice, participation rates are often low. A small percentage of holders vote, and many proposals pass with limited scrutiny, right? Governance exists, but engagement varies. So think about this. How many of you guys would having a small stake in something, say you had $500 in a coin or $1,000 in a coin or whatever is a small stake to you, right? Would take the time to read over every proposal, be involved in the community, and vote. Especially knowing there's whales out there that have a ridiculous amount of voting power compared to you, right? Not many people would do that. Now, if you had what is to you a large amount of money, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in a project, you'd be a lot more concerned. Just like stocks, you know, you'd be a lot more concerned and you'd have a lot more vote. You'd have a lot more say. And so what happens, the problem with governance, in my opinion, and I'm sure that as we go down the points, it'll back that up, right? Is that most people don't contribute to DAOs. That's actually why they don't work very well in most practice. The people who have the most to lose, right? You almost can't even be mad at the way it goes. Not a bunch of like greedy, terrible people on the surface level. It's people who have a lot to lose. And so they want to make sure that the governance goes well and they don't just make crazy decisions like, oh, we're going to print 50% more coins in a month from now and you're going to lose 50% of your value in a month from now. They're going to be like, no, let's not do that. Like, let's vote against that. And they're going to get people fired up and they're going to try to vote against it. That's just how it works, right? And so also, especially in the United States, I want to point out the similarities, how things do the same things. This is a problem with our governance for the last 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years in America, in my opinion, is because very few people cared to be involved in the voting and in the doing of things. Now, there might be good reasons for that, and there's plenty of debate around that. This is a crypto channel, not getting into that. But it's the same thing here. A lot of people don't feel like their vote matters because they hold, $50 in the coin, maybe $400 or $500 in the coin, and they have busy lives. They're not going to take the time out of their day to be up to date with all the protocols and stuff. All right. And the few people who still do vote, very similar to a lot of the stuff in politics here in America and other countries, of course, a lot of them look towards certain people, influencers, politicians, same idea here, because politicians are your influencers, and they look for them to tell them, hey, you're smart, you're involved in this, what do I need to vote to be the best whatever category that they consider themselves, independent, whatever. And it's the same thing here, you know what I mean? Like, they'll look to an influencer who they think is smart, and if he tells them vote no on this proposal, then they're going to vote no. And they're never going to read the proposal even a little bit, not even a summary. Anyways, the difference between voting power and influence. Voting power is measurable, influence is not. Influence exists in proposal drafting, forum discussions, developer coordination, and off-chain signaling. Ecosystem alignment as well. By the time a proposal hits a vote, its shape has often already been decided. Proposal formation as power. The ability to write, frame, and circulate a proposal in itself is influence, right? Not everyone has the technical knowledge, the time, credibility, and the network to move an idea from concept to a formal vote. Governance begins before governance begins. Coordination beats token weight. Large token holders can influence votes, right? But coordinated groups can influence outcomes, and even more effectively. Soft power, communication, persuasion, and social consensus frequently outweighs raw token weight, right? Governance theater versus governance reality. Some systems maintain governance processes primarily for legitimacy. Proposals are passed, votes occur, and real strategy and roadmaps remain shaped by core contributors. This isn't always malicious, right? Sometimes it's just practical, but it reveals a gap between design and execution. Another thing that you could say here is the whole idea of centralization versus decentralization, right? So if you want to not be centralized and you wanted, like, think about the birth of crypto and blockchain and all of these big, bright well, you still have to play them out. So you at first have a bunch of ideas, but like they have to get played out for you to kind of find the issues. You got to find the issues, right? You have to kind of try different things and then find out what's wrong with them. So they wanted to get away from centralization. Now, centralization is something that as a people, no matter where you apply it, we know very well. Right? That's what we've always done, centralization. Very few things in human existence have ever been decentralized and worked efficiently and lasted a long period of time. There's been many experiments, but not a whole lot of stuff to look back to and say like, oh, this is the best way to do it, right? We're in sorry about that. We're in uncharted territory when it comes to this stuff, right? So you're having a lot of the same issues you were trying to avoid. And you almost start to learn about the complexity of why the issues are there in the first place. A lot of the issues to do with voting and DAOs and governance that exist on the governance or government levels of anything from a company to, a government are deeper than you think they are. They're more about human interaction and human emotion and what people do more than anything. Developer influence. And many ecosystems, developers and core contributors hold disproportionate influence, not because of tokens, but because of expertise. Code change requires skill. Skill creates leverage. So governance fatigue. As system matures, participation often declines, right? Everybody's excited at first, and as it's been around for a while and the thing starts to mature, people fall off with engagement, so the participation often declines. Most users want the product, right? You could say production, to function, but they don't want to manage it, right? Decentralization requires engagement. Engagement requires motivation. This tension never fully disappears, and it's a constant loop, right? So you do something to drum up some motivation. People come in, they get engaged. But how long can you hold a constant motivation? You could try to do it with money. You'll run out of money. You could try to do it with hype. The hype kind of loses its, euphoricness. You hear the same hype too much, and it loses its euphoric. Think about when the XR people first started, and I'm not saying anything about it, but as you all should already know my opinion. But when all of these XRP people started talking about, XRP going to 1,000, and then they started talking about it going to 10,000, and then they started talking about it going to 50,000. The longer they continue to do that, the more outlandish the price target, the more people can't believe it. It was hard to believe that it was going to go to $1,000. Then you're telling me it's 10 and now it's 50. That's going to get more and more hard to believe, and you almost see some of the engagement for that dropping off. The real decentralized governance looks like healthy governance includes transparency, active debates, gradual transition of power, and clear accountability. Also, I would say a lot of engagement and constant attention. It is messy, slow, and imperfect, but it's visible. Core insight here, governance distributes responsibility, right? It's not automatically distribute of influence. So influence can be very one-sided, even if the governance looks like it's being distributed evenly. And the whole idea of like, you know, whoever has the most coins gets the most votes. Well, that sounds good. Oh, good night, Campsta. Thank you for being here. It sounds good, you know, if you hold the most vote. But how is that any? The problem with it, honestly, is how is it any different than all the forms of governance we already do? So the people with the most money and the most power have the most say. That's what you're telling me. And on top of that, next best thing, the people who have the most skill in the area have the most influence. How is that any different? How are you going to change that? I think that's the school of thought here is like, how are you going to suddenly and drastically make that super different? I don't know that you are. So 3 minute finally topped out, 5 minutes still on the ground for River. I don't even know if River is worth trading. I don't know if I really want to even bother with any of this trading right now. Kind of almost like to see what next week holds. Let's go see what the 24-hour trading volume is. Only 50 million. Yeah, it's fallen a lot. I mean, it does seem kind of good for shorting, but yeah, and I was going to short that. Tell you, inverted head and shoulders like it was making 1, 2, and 3 a lot of times fail. What's the 15? Yeah, 15 kind of has room to go either direction, really. 4 hour looking like it's going to roll over and go down, at least back to the 200. I think I'm going to just not get involved here, especially late at night like this, get in a trade, wind up having to babysit the stupid trade all night. I don't feel like doing that. All right. So let's just take a look at some of our normal things here. We are transitioning into the underground crypto hangout part of the show, where it's best to, you know, ask whatever questions that you have. Freely talk amongst yourselves. If you have a question for me, obviously, I'd be glad to do my best to answer it. And it starts getting a little late out here, and so some people drop off. Obviously, Cam still went to bed. Good thing we read him his crypto bedtime story. He didn't miss out. I know that's what he comes here for. All right. Yeah. And so you see the viewership kind of dropping off. But we've done our due diligence, right? We came and we did what we set out to do. And Blues Guy, I'm not sure if I don't know if you ever responded. I did text you back today. Or I did text you today. I don't know if it was texting you back or what. Whatever that means. I don't know what I was trying to say. Other than I texted you and did you see it? Still got the FOGO going on now. Originally, this would be interesting to look at. We grabbed this because FOGO was hot for a little while. This is FOGO fishing. And I thought it was pretty cool. Just as something to do for $5 on the channel, it was worth doing. And I said that $10 was worth about 60,000 of these coins, right? And it says I'll only receive 54. So I don't know what the tax. I don't know what, like, I can't figure it out. And I'll probably be a while before I cash out. But anyways, when I originally did it, I think like 64 or 68,000 was like $10. And that would be a place to maybe take profit, because then I would get $5 out of it, and I would pay for the $5 that I, spent on the NFT. So I do have somewhere the exchange. I think it's this Valiant, right? Yeah, the exchange for it, and let's see what the heck this would be worth. So let's swap it, and then from FOGO, we want to go to fish. And what did it say that we had? Let's go to a process. So we would get, let's just say we got the full 60,289, and then we could just do 60,000. Let's see what that's worth now versus what it was worth when we did it, because the market has fallen a lot. Okay, so this thing lost a ton of value, right? So 60,000, or it might have been 68,000. Even if we go with that, it's not going to make a lot of difference here. It was worth $10. Now 68,000 is worth $3. So you see how this gets. You get into something like this and you do the math. This is a good lesson for any kind of mining or anything of this nature. Obviously, we did this as an experiment, as a channel, right? I wasn't really thinking I was ever going to make any money, and I said that when we started doing it. But anyways, you could come in here and you could do your math, but you have to assume that it's going to be worth the same or hopefully more when you finally get to cash out. Now, I could let this just continue to rack up for the next 4, 5, 6 months, and then somehow in you know, a bullish sentiment, this thing could go up and I might actually make $10. Who knows? But it's just kind of an experiment with the Fogo ecosystem. Will Fogo survive? I have no idea. So yeah, Fogo, that's pretty dope. Yeah, you probably haven't seen it, El Cheeto. We've started doing that recently, working while VR golfing. All right, Plague Dogs, appreciate you, man. Thanks for being here. And I appreciate everybody who comes to the channel. You know, we are in a very bearish time for crypto, and we're in a bearish time, I want to say economically, but I'm talking globally, global economically. You know, a lot of people feel like we're on the edge of World War III. I don't know what that looks like. I mean, I do and I don't. Obviously, it depends on what direction it goes and how quick it goes. All right. You know, will we, as America, will we attack Iran? And you might think like, oh, that's political. No, that has everything to do with crypto because, you know, there's a couple major things that seem to be on the horizon. A lot of rhetoric about another, you know, reoccurring event like we had the last time, pandemic, if you will. That's on the radar. And then there's on the radar of a world war or just a war in general, right? Between America and Iran or whatever. And those things are going to make the market do all kinds of crazy stuff, right? You could see dramatic drops. You know, people are like, oh, Bitcoin could never go back to, you know, being under like 30,000 or 20,000. If people think there's going to be a world war, you could see it flash down to something like 10 grand and then immediately shoot back up as everybody, you know, everybody sells it. And then they realize, oh, I can't run around with $100,000 worth of gold. That'll never work. Maybe I should put all my money into crypto. Again, you're going to see some crazy stuff. And again, BTC at 10,000 would be kind of insane. And would it mean the end of Bitcoin? I don't know. That would be one heck of a draw, though. Bro, I still need to get Panzer Dogs. I'm still doing the tutorial again and saving it. Hey, man, let me know when you do that, and we can play. We got Reliable J. When he's here, he's played with us a few times. And then, of course, Camsta, he'll play. Blues Guy will play sometimes. And so, you know, if you get on that, let me know. Once you get, I think you got to get to level 5, which only takes like 4 or 5 games, I think is what Camsta said. If Reliable J was here, he'd tell you. He was the last one to do it. But when you do that, then you can just tell me your name on there, and I'll add you, and then we can play. Because we almost always play a couple rounds of this at the end of the stream. And, you know, it would have been cool to open a couple of trades tonight and show you something. But, like, if I really feel like it's not there, dang it, I just screwed myself there. That's what I get for not putting it in full screen mode. Yeah, and I could have forced it. It would have been a lot better. You know, again, I traded Monday. I don't like to trade Mondays. That's when I got rinsed, on a Monday. Yeah, I think I will be not trading Mondays for a long time. Or at all. Should be a good reason. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, to me are the best times. I guess it is Wednesday, so I guess it wouldn't be terrible. I just don't really love what River's looking like. I think I need to go find another coin. Need to find a better coin and not get so wrapped up in River, because now it's at like 50,000 in trading volume in the last 24 hours. It's getting pretty low. And a lot of times, low volume does really equal a lot of strange, very strange price action. Quick wicks and all kinds of stuff, right? Wow, that was weird. My rocket went straight through them. Glitchy. Grab this health. I did get first blood, didn't I? I can't even remember anymore. Dang, he took that shot for you, homie. You better thank your friend. Don't steal it. Dang. I always got to worry about my own teammates when they grab the rocket because they'll shoot it right next to you and just blow all of us up. It's an area damage weapon, so. Man, that was crappy. Come on, let me reload my shots here. I'm like the king at getting people down to like 4 health and then not being able to kill them. Then somebody else always comes and claims my shots. And I'm just like random firing. Like this is, I don't know what I'm trying to do here. And I'm sure all of you know, like, being in trades all the time is very stressful. I think a lot of people think that it's all amazing. It's super stressful being in a trade. And not even all the time necessarily, but just being in a trade often is extremely stressful. With that big loss, of course, it makes you feel like crap because you just think of how much time, how many late nights I babysitted a trade. And I just got to let that be ammo for me to cut my losses and not let it get too deep, right? That's a good lesson there. Kind of reverse engineer it and use it as fuel to do the right things. Of course, doing the right thing is so perspective based, right? It's so relevant to hindsight, which is always 2020. But I guess more or less my point was it's nice to de-stress a little bit and not constantly have to be in a trade, even after, taking a heavy loss. And we'll get it back. I'm sweating like running dang mile. Exactly. Oh, man. I was definitely like high stress watching that thing go from like 500 to 1,200 to $2,000 to 2,400, and I just like, when it holds. The thing about, for the longest time I didn't trade much, right, besides BTC, and I could never really make much money with BTC. Honestly, I feel like you need to have more money to make more money with BTC, or you just got to be really high leverage, which is dangerous as well. But my point is, I was finally doing really well with River, but I noticed when River holds you underwater, like they hold you underwater for like, when it runs hard, and that's kind of the crappy part. But I feel like almost any coin that's newer can do that. So basically, if it has volume, it can do that to you. It's kind of what I'm trying to say. And if it doesn't have volume, you probably won't make a whole lot of money because there's not a whole lot of volatility. So it's definitely like you gotta center yourself. In previous price action, even though I watched it for 3 weeks, more than 3 weeks, almost every single day, all the time, it could just do some random stuff that it never really did before. And I think that's how they keep catching people off guard. People get lulled into a sense of security. I know I did. We were not bullish. There was no reason for River to pump at all. Matter of fact, they were in the middle of fudding the entire market that China and Japan were going to absolutely wreck America and financial markets and crypto as well. And then apparently everybody decided River was the best hedge bet against all of that, because in the midst of all of that FUD and all that negativity, River runs up like 35% in a matter of like 3 hours. Didn't match the climate of anything. I was used to it pumping maybe $1, $1.50, $2 against me, and then it would almost come down just as fast as it went up almost every time. So anything can happen at any time, basically. All I know is the fact of my own ignorance, and I was just heavily reminded of that. I have a riddle for the group. What chart goes up every night at 8:30 Eastern? No idea. You might as well just tell us because I have no idea. The crypto IQ chart. Well done. Well done. That was very tastefully done, my friend. And I think I'm going to have to use that myself. Maybe that you might have just gave us like the best outro. Oh, Deep Book. So Deep just got listed on Coinbase just now. So funny because Deep has been around for such a long time. Why did they finally decide like now is the time for Deep Book to be listed? It's very interesting. Again, Plague Dogs, that was hilarious, bro. I can't use it tonight because you just said it tonight, but I might start working that into my outro. Or actually, I think it needs to be in the intro. You'll hear me saying that. Just know that came from you. Because that would be great to say in the intro to the show. Welcome to Underground Crypto. What chart goes up at 8:30 Eastern time every night? Yeah, I could see myself working that in there. What am I doing? Oh, I can't show that. All right, cool. I don't need them flagging me again. Again, made that mistake twice now. Keep meaning to put this in full screen mode. There we go. Probably looks a lot nicer for the people watching as well. Grab some health. Nearly died. Where you going? Come and catch these bullets. Dang, the lagging is sucking. Eating him up, man. He has weight. Oh, man. If he gets me, that's going to suck. All right, I got him. So funny. It'll be lagging. I'll have like full health. And next thing you know, I'll have like 10 health. And I'm just like, yeah, that must have happened while it was lagging at some point. Dang, I was hoping I was going to get him with that oil barrel. All right, that's another round. We should make a fake trading view chart with crypto IQ versus USDT pumping. Yo, that's awesome. You know what, Plague Dogs? I feel like ChatGPT could help me out with that a little bit, and I could probably work it into our intro. That would be really cool. Yeah, that's a really great idea, Plague Dogs. I'm definitely going to do that for sure. And with that, guys, I'm going to kind of conclude this episode. We've been streaming for almost 2 hours here. Without the trading and stuff, we just Plague Dogs, Panzer Dogs, too close together. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the stream. Hope everybody's having a good night. Thank you so much, everybody who's here. I appreciate your constant support. You guys are the best. That's pretty smart, actually. Yeah, and I'm telling you, that's why we do this as a community, because people come in and give us just the best ideas. You might see that on tomorrow's stream. Hopefully I can get that put together quick enough. Anyways, stay underground, stay crypto. What chart goes up at 8:30 Eastern every day? Your crypto IQ. All right, everybody. Crypto Ron out. I'm going to work on that. I'm going to make that much smoother. Have a good night. Thank you for being here. See you in the Discord.